Welcome to Rappahannock Issues. I'm Tom Cohen.
And I'm David Kerr.
And we're going to be looking at topics that are of interest to our community, both regionally and to the state.
Hello, I'm David Kerr, and welcome back to Rappahannock Issues. We're here today talking about Alzheimer's, and we have with us the regional director of the Fredericksburg office of the Alzheimer's Association, and Mrs. Barbara Cole, an Alzheimer's advocate, who is telling us some of her personal experience. Barbara has been diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's and was talking to us in the last segment about some of the misconceptions of Alzheimer's. I'd like to pick up where we left off, Barb.
Well, there are a lot of misconceptions and myths, if you will. Part of what I am trying to do by being here today is to raise awareness in the community, to encourage people to ask questions, to find out about Alzheimer's, and to be made aware that it is almost a national health care epidemic. One of the misconceptions that I think is the most difficult for people is that people think that there's a real treatment for Alzheimer's, that there are treatments available to stop the progression of Alzheimer's. There aren't any yet. Because of that, Alzheimer's is a fatal disease. It's the only disease among the top 10 killers that has no effective treatment. And that needs to change. With more funding and research and clinical studies, the cure can be found. Certainly a way to stop its progression is on the horizon. And that's what I would like to emphasize, that there really needs to be an understanding that this is incurable, and it is a terrible progression of a disease that affects families. I think I mentioned to someone recently that if you have Alzheimer's disease or someone in your family has it, I don't care if you have $1,000 or $1 million. It will drain you, your family, of every cent that you have by the time it reaches its conclusion.
Well, and that leads to a question. You have a family, and how is it affecting them? How did it affect them when they first learned about it, and how do you see it progressing and the effect on them in the future?
Well, you know, it absolutely is a life-changing event, not only for the person with the disease, but also their family and the people who love them and care for them. What evolved for me was, you know, I ended up having to lose my job because I couldn't perform all the duties in a timely manner. I could type at 65 words a minute. Well, I was down to 7 words a minute. And let's just say it's hard to be productive, and an employer wanted to pay you to do the work that you could hire one person to do that you might take a week to get completed, you know, and they could do it in one day. But when I lost my employment, an awful large part of my identity was lost. You know, people that ask you first thing when you meet somebody, what do you do?
Right.
It was a struggle for me. It was also difficult to face the future. The fact that I was young when it was first diagnosed made it even a little more difficult for me to adjust. I wasn't sure if I should tell people about it. I wasn't sure what their reactions would be. But I decided that, it wasn't going to serve any worthwhile purpose if I, kept it hidden because of shame or stigma. And there absolutely is a stigma attached to Alzheimer's disease.
Have you experienced this?
Oh, heavens. I'm sorry to say I have, and from the most unlikely sources. Some of my friends, well, first of all, family, all were in denial initially. You can hear me speak, sometimes haltingly, but, I'm still able to communicate. So people just didn't believe that I could have Alzheimer's disease. The people who eventually believe that I have it reacted in such a way as, it's a tough thing to talk about. It's a heck of a burden to carry. And when people don't want to talk about it, you feel very alone and ostracized. So some of my friends just didn't talk about it. They avoided it, and they avoided me. They quit calling. They quit socializing. I was in a position of having to justify these things that I was experiencing, trying to have to prove it to other people because they just didn't believe it. And that was at a time when I needed help and support the most. In one of my darkest hours, I actually said, I've got to find somebody that can help me. I don't know anything about this. I don't know what the future holds. I just know that I am languishing and I need help. And that's when I went online and I looked up the website for the Alzheimer's Association, alz.org. Found that there was a chapter in our backyard, and that's when I first met Lori. She invited me to attend a couple of these group settings. And, unfortunately, the folks who were there were either caregivers, and they went off in a group, or they were the individuals with the disease. They were in a more advanced state of the disease, of advanced progression from me. So I really didn't quite fit in. And in a real dark moment, I mentioned that to Lori, and she just jumped right on it. She started a coffee group for people who are in the early stages, the ones who are still able to talk and communicate. And that has made all the difference to me. And that is why I am now, feeling that everything that has occurred in my life has prepared me for this. And this is what I'm supposed to be doing now, to go out there and to make a difference. And with the help of the community, with the help of our legislators, we can make this go away for everyone. We can put an end to Alzheimer's.
That is something I would really like to see. We're getting down to the last few moments of our show, and I'd like to ask, how can people get involved? And after hearing Barbara talk about her experiences, I don't see why people would want to pick up the phone right now and call you.
We are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with our 800 number. That goes to our Chicago office should they not reach someone here locally. It's 1-800-272-3900. They will then let me know that someone has called from this area. Or they can call the office here locally, 540-370-0835. That's the Fredericksburg office. We get in touch with folks, connect with them on the phone. Some people just come into the office to see if someone's there. We meet right then to start the conversation. And I think education is huge. But just making that phone call, reaching out and making that first phone call is a big step. It's one I encourage. And, we'll walk the journey with them at that point, but we're going to meet them wherever they are, whether they have questions or they've already been diagnosed.
This has been an incredible...
I would just like to say that there's a tremendous amount of information available on the Alzheimer's website, tons of it, even stuff including current research and how close we are to breakthroughs medically. I would urge people to talk to their friends. Talk about it. Remove the stigma.
Yes.
And be committed to making a difference, because this is the timing when we can affect a positive outcome. Alzheimer's disease. I would just want to say that nobody really has to go through this alone, because there is help out there. And thank goodness for the Alzheimer's Association, and thank God for Lori Myers, my lifeline.
Usually I have a wrap-up, but I don't need one today. Thank you both very much, Barb.
Thank you.
Lori, thank you for
Thank
being
you
on the
very
show.
much.
I really appreciate it. Rappahannock Issues?